the Oracle Outlook for the week starting November the 5th, 2018. This week I wanted to work with Lenormand. Specifically, I wanted to work with the Rana George Lenormand, so that is the deck that will be assisting me for this week's reading. The Rana George Lenormand is by Rana George, of course, since it's named after her. The artwork in the deck is by Callie French, and it is published by US Game Systems Incorporated. So I have the deck on hand. I'm just going to take a few moments to shuffle the cards, just as I do every week for these weekly readings. I'm focusing on my usual intention and question, which is, what do we need to know for the week ahead? What information, insight, and guidance will be most helpful to us moving forward? So I'm focusing on that while I shuffle. I'm going to take a few moments and shuffle the cards my other way for a nice, good, thorough shuffle. I'm feeling one more time will be good. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. And fan the cards out. And now I'm looking for 5 cards in the fan that are getting my attention. Just 2. Because I generally work with a line of 5 for these weekly general readings. 3, card 4, and I'm looking at this card for card 5. So the 5 cards have been selected. And now I'm going to take the remainder of the deck and put it to one side. Alright. Now that I have the 5 cards selected and face down in front of me, when I work with Lenormand, I like starting with the middle of the line, the center card. For me, it represents a central issue or something that we're being asked to focus on for the week ahead. So taking a look at the card, we have, so here we have child in the middle of the line. So child is a card that can represent, with Lenormand being very literal in some ways, this could represent a central issue or focus on one's child or children this week. So there may be something having to do with a child needing some time and attention or some particular focus. And we'll know more by taking a look at the surrounding cards. So keep that in mind. So in one regard, this could be about a child or children. Another possibility is if you're like me and you don't have children, then child being at the center of the line could be focusing on things that are new, because my keywords for child can represent something new, something starting, or something beginning. So it could represent a new experience, or you're starting something, or something that's in its beginning stages, right? That we will get more elaboration with these surrounding cards. It could also be if we're considering a certain approach to something this week. At the heart of it, we're being asked to adopt a simple approach, because child for me can represent simplicity or needing to keep something simple, right? So that, that expression KISS, which is keep it simple, sweetheart, right? So if you're approaching something, how can you approach it in a way that's relatively simple or has some degree of ease to it, right? But again, other aspects could be something having to do with a child or children, something that is new, beginning, or starting up. So that is child at the heart or the center of the line. So now let's take a look at the surrounding cards, because the surrounding cards will offer us more information about that. So starting with the card on the far left. Okay, so here we have Clover. Clover is a card for me that can represent an opportunity. So if we pair Clover and child, we have here an opportunity begins, a new opportunity, an opportunity for a child. Those would be some possibilities. Clover can also represent, in addition to opportunity, it could represent good luck, it could represent good fortune, things of that nature. So there may be something about somebody's luck changing for the better this week. So there is that. going back to the opportunity aspect of clover, if there is an opportunity, it may be that there is a brief period of time attached to it. So this could be a short-term opportunity or an opportunity that if we're contemplating whether we want to take on the opportunity being presented to us, there may be a brief window of time attached to that, right? So you may not have a whole lot of time to mull it over. And the reason why I'm going with that is because clover in that regard can represent something that may be a bit of a risk or a gamble. So this could just be taking a chance on something. You know, this would be like a leap of faith kind of thing. So, you know, if you are presented with an opportunity this week, consider what are the chances in it for you in terms of possible risk or gambles, right? So again, clover can represent opportunity, it could represent luck, it could represent fortune. You know, it can also represent, if an opportunity is being presented, then you may be wondering if the opportunity is worth pursuing or not. If that fits for you, then clover in that regard is a follow-up saying, pay attention to any synchronistic signs or events that come your way. I tend to look at this as synchronicity and serendipity. So that is clover. So now going in between clover and child, we have bouquet. So here we have bouquet. Bouquet is a card like clover in the sense that it can represent an opportunity. Bouquet can represent a gift or an invitation. It could represent something that's being presented to us. So this could be like an offer. So if we pair clover and bouquet, here we have an opportunity that's being presented, right? If we go with the idea that bouquet can represent a gift, and then another word for gift is present, and I'm playing on the pun for present, right? So here we have the idea like an opportunity is being presented. So now it could also be that the opportunity comes as a surprise, because bouquet can also represent surprises, right? So here we have an opportunity that comes as a surprise or a surprise opportunity, right? There are two ways to read that. It could also be too, like the opportunity being presented may be something beautiful, something pleasant, something wonderful, right? Because bouquet fits all of those things, right? So now it could also be surprise luck, you know, in this way you're getting a lucky break kind of thing. So there are multiple ways to read that. So again, this could be an opportunity being presented, a surprise opportunity, you know, an opportunity that comes as a surprise, or an opportunity that is going to be pleasant, beautiful, or wonderful. Now the interesting thing to note here is that bouquet is also a face card, because here we have the Queen of Spades. So there may be a woman who plays a central part or a central role in whatever the gift is, whatever the surprise is, whatever the invitation is, because bouquet can also represent invitations, right? So that is bouquet. So now let's take a look at what's on the other side of the line. And here we have, on the other side of child, we have moon. So moon for me is a card that can represent one's career. So that we may have somebody who's being invited or being given an opportunity, going with clover being opportunity, bouquet being something that's being presented, and then child would represent something that's new or starting. It may have to do with one's career, right? So there is that to consider. So somebody may be embarking on a change in careers, or if you've been doing the same thing in a career, you may be moving in a different direction with that, and a new opportunity is opening up for you along those lines. Whatever it is, there is a potential for some sort of recognition, because moon is all about recognition. So it's being recognized for something. And it's also about having a reputation. So if you are being presented with an opportunity or an invitation in a way, or that something's being presented to you for your career, it may be because you have been known for doing a particular thing, going with the reputation aspect. There may be something of some sort of acknowledgement in someone's career, because we have mirroring, we have gift, or I should say bouquet, which represents a gift, mirroring moon, which represents career. So here we have maybe a career award, somebody being awarded something, bouquet, for one's career, right? But either way, this could represent some sort of award, and now again, that would be some sort of recognition, right? And then moon would say too, going with the award aspect of it, it's some sort of honor, because for me, I tend to look at moon as being honored in a way, right? So now, going back to the middle card, it could be someone's child is being given some kind of honor, recognition, or award. I'm seeing the idea of, like, when I'm driving around in my area, I see bumper stickers from parents who say, you know, I have an honor child at such and such a school. Or, you know, they have those assemblies where children get awarded something for a particular thing in school, right? So there may be, for someone, somebody may find out that their child has been given some kind of acknowledgement in a public way. Because here's the thing with moon, moon can represent being famous in a way. So it could just represent, maybe with clover and child, both would represent size and would be something small. So this could be some kind of small honor, some sort of small reward, or some sort of small acknowledgement. But to a child, it's going to be a big thing, right? But it could be like, you know, somebody getting their 15 minutes of fame with the moon card, right? So there is that. Now, another aspect of moon, if we go back to the idea about maybe something having to do with career, right, one's vocation, and, you know, an opportunity being presented, a new opportunity being presented, then the moon card could suggest, like, it would be maybe to one's benefit to give it some serious thought or consideration, because this card would be about emotional satisfaction, right? As a result of the opportunity being presented, there may be some sort of emotional satisfaction with that. So again, moon would represent career, reputation, some sort of recognition, and emotional satisfaction. And now, taking a look at the last card in the line, we have, okay, so here we have mountain, rounding the line out. So mountain is a card that can represent a block, it could represent a challenge, it could represent an obstacle, right? So there may be some sort of challenge with that. You know, everything looked good right up until this card. So there may be some sort of challenge, there may be some sort of block, there may be some sort of obstacle. This card, in that sense, can also represent a setback or a delay or something being postponed. So if we go with the idea that if we're talking about an actual award ceremony of some kind, then there may be some sense of setback, delay, or postponement with that, right? It could also be, too, like, I'm going back to the challenge aspect of mountain, and one of the things that's coming to me in my mind is that there may be some award or some sort of recognition that's being challenged, right? So somebody may be awarded something, and as after the fact, they may hit some sort of challenge. So it could be, there may be a challenger in that with the respect to somebody else showing up or contesting that or whatever. There may be some sort of challenge with that, or that there's something about the result that's going to be called into question, and that's going to be the challenge, and it's going to lead to some sort of setback or delay to the person who may be winning, being acknowledged for the win, right? So there may be, with that, it's making me feel, in light of this week being election day here in the United States, there may be something having to do with some particular election, that there may be some sort of challenge, or there may be some sort of setback or delay or obstacle with whoever is called the winner in that particular election. So I'm seeing that. And as I'm looking at the cards, we have, I mentioned the one face card here with bouquet, because we have the Queen of Spades. And then here with the child, we have the Jack of Spades. So we may have a situation where two people are face to face because they're looking at each other in the line. They're facing, there's a face off here. So there may be a face off between two people, and that may be what's being called into question. And if we're going with the idea of, we're talking about an election in particular, then that would make sense with moon. Moon would represent career, right? And it could also represent somebody who's well established, right? Because I talked about moon being about fame, right? So there may be somebody who's well established, right? And then we may have an incumbent versus somebody who's new. Now remember, child would be somebody who's a beginner, somebody who's a novice, somebody who's just starting out, somebody who may not have a whole lot of experience. So there may be some sort of surprise involving somebody who may be more established, an incumbent, versus somebody who's new to the game, so to speak, kind of thing. And I'm looking at the image on the child card, and I'm noticing that the child is playing marbles, right? So it could just be a matter of a game, you know, in the game of whatever the situation is. So in the game of life, in the game of business, in the game of career, those kinds of things. But it's making me feel like there's something about, because the child is playing a game on the card, right? So there is that to consider. So overall with the line again, I'm going to read the cards from left to right. Clover is a card that can represent an opportunity, could represent luck, could represent fortune. It may be a brief window of time that's attached to the opportunity. It's about taking a chance, or, you know, chances or odds, if we go with the idea that this could be about a gamble or gambling, right? Again, with the opportunity aspect, it could be a matter of taking a look at what are the risks or gambles involved in the opportunity being presented. But again, this card could represent an opportunity, good luck, fortune, taking a chance, a leap of faith. It's also about, if we're talking about approaches to life, this could be a week where we are considering ways that we can be a little more spontaneous and carefree. So that's that. Okay. If we go with the idea that Clover is about an opportunity, then this could be about an opportunity being presented, because bouquet represents gifts. It could also represent an invitation. It could also represent a surprise, so there may be an opportunity that comes as a surprise. That may be the spontaneity factor of it. You know, if it comes as a surprise, are you going to be in the moment and consider taking a chance or a leap of faith? It could also be something having to do with a woman in particular, because of the Queen of Spades being attached to this card. So there may be a woman who plays a central role or part in the gift, invitation, you know, the surprise. And then we move to child at the heart of the line. This could be something having to do with a child in particular, because child represents children. It could also represent something new, something beginning, something starting out. So if we're talking about an opportunity being presented, it may be the opportunity being presented to start something, to begin something, or it's a new opportunity, right? It could also be, too, like we have a possibility here that there may be another person involved, because we have the Jack of Spades as the inset here. And so remember, one possibility here is that there may be something having to do with a face-off between two people, you know, or two people coming together maybe to have a much-needed conversation, discussion, exchange of information or ideas. Those are all aspects of the suit of spades for me. But I'm seeing right here the possibility of, if we go with the idea about an opportunity or a chance or a risk or a gamble, it may involve two people, and one being a woman and one possibly being a man. Right, but I should say this, jacks can also be people of either sex. So I said a man first, but it could also be another woman. So with the jack, it could be somebody of either gender. And then with moon, moon is a card that can represent career. So my first impulse is to think that this may be a career opportunity being presented to someone to kind of mull over. You may not have a long time to consider it, right? Because clover being something that represents brief, or something brief or something short term, and then bouquet as a follow-up could represent, it may be because there's some surprise element attached to it, right? So there is that. It could also be that somebody may be acknowledged in a way, and acknowledged publicly, because this represents recognition and fame with that, but also, you know, you're being acknowledged for maybe something that you've done for a long period of time, because this represents reputation, right? So there is that to consider. Again, moon, career, reputation, recognition, some level of fame, and also something having to do with emotional satisfaction. So that is moon. And then, like I said, with the last card rounding out the line, there may be a challenge, some sort of block or obstacle in relation to the opportunity. There may be, as things go forward, there may be some sort of delay or some sort of setback with that. I'm seeing here, like I talked about, if there's an opportunity or an invitation or something new starting having to do with career, it may be challenged in some way. And I'm putting that more with the idea with the elections taking place this week. Since we are going to be observing Election Day, there may be, in one particular race, there may be some sort of setback, delay, or it could get challenged to some degree. So I'm seeing that. And on that note, I will go ahead and end this week's Oracle Outlook. I'm James Himm Mitchell, and as I close, I'd like to thank you for sharing space here with me for this week's reading. And as I wrap up, I'd like to acknowledge my new subscribers. There was a huge uptick in subscribers this week, so I want to acknowledge that. I want to say thank you and welcome you officially if you have taken that step to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank you for your encouragement and support of the work that goes on here. But as I always say, whether you are a subscriber or a regular viewer, I can never do what I do entirely all on my own here without any of you out there. So thank you for your continued support and encouragement of the channel. So I'm James Himm Mitchell. I'm rounding out this week's Oracle Outlook. I'm hoping that as I close, you have a wonderful day, and I'm hoping that you have a wonderful week. Take care.